Hello everybody, John12 back here again with another video, and today I bring you my official review for Scream the TV series, episode 1, the pilot. Now of course, if you've not seen that episode or the premiere of the series, please check it out because this review may contain spoilers. That being said, let's get right into this shit. First off, let's talk about the conception of this show. Now, as you all know, I'm a horror guy. I've been a big supporter and fan of the horror genre and whatever. I fucking still watch horror movies, even if they're dog shit. But Scream the TV series will probably go down in history, or at least as of right now, go down in history right now as the most controversial horror TV series of all time. That's probably giving it way too much of a title, but let's just go with it. That being said, no one really gave a shit about this show going into it. Like, there was so many people prior to the show even premiering that were downright hating on it, destroying it on the internet, and just straight up just demolishing it from existence. I mean, like, there were so many people who just did not like the idea of this show, especially my good old friend Evil Scar 23. Like, he fucking bashed the living shit out of this show, and I can admit why. I mean, like, going into it, I have to admit, like, it could be dog shit, and it might as well be dog shit. And plus, you know, there's a lot of things that kind of really don't make Scream fans, or just horror fans who are at least moderate fans of the pre-existing franchise, that this show could be any good. Because, for one, it's a TV series on MTV, and that's pretty much like, you know, you might as well be a male watching fucking, you know, the Bravo channel or some said shit. And then you have, they changed the Ghostface mask. You have Wes Craven, who's not directing any of these episodes, you know, and it has nothing to do with the other movies. It's its own thing. So I can see why a lot of people who were extremely pissed off at this TV show even existing. But I decided, you know what? I'm going to give it a chance. Why not? I'm just going to give it a chance and see if it's any good. They impressed me with the trailers. The trailers really impressed me. The new mask, even though a lot of people hated it on the internet, I personally had no qualms with it for one reason and one reason only. The original Ghostface mask, as much as I love it and as much as I appreciate it, especially nostalgia-wise, it's not really that scary of a freaking mask. I mean, I'm just saying, if you've seen the scary movies, you really don't care about the Ghostface mask. It's pretty just a joke at this point in time. But that being said, I liked the new mask. I thought it was creepy. It was nice. It felt like a good death mask for, you know, for a couple of teenage, you know, stupid kids who are about to kill each other. You know, it seems simplistic, creepy, and a good substitute for the original mask. So I had no qualms with that. And of course, you have the fact that this show has nothing to do with the pre-existing franchise other than the fact that it shares the same title and shares similar attributes from the original story. But once again, you got to think about it realistically in these terms that, for one, Wes Craven, we already know, we can't have a freaking Scream 5. As much as I may have liked the Scream 4, which a lot of people didn't like, I would have wanted to see a Scream 5, but that's not going to happen. Why? Because Wes Craven ain't doing it, Kevin Williamson ain't doing it, the Weinsteins ain't doing it, and you want to know why they're not going to do a Scream 5? Because they don't like each other, so that's why. There's no Scream 5 in the works. It's probably never going to happen, and if we ever get another Scream movie, it's probably going to be 10 years down the line, and it's going to be a fucking remake or some said shit, which probably will happen even if this show is successful or not. But that being said, at the end of the day, I decided to give it a chance. The trailers impressed me. The mask impressed me. It may be it could end up being another MTV abortion dog shit show, but I'm going to give it a chance. And another big factor in this is because you might be asking yourselves, well, this is on Tuesday nights. Well, there's a good reason. Because The Flash is on Tuesday nights, and The Flash is not on yet. I have no real purpose on Tuesday nights. So, of course, this is a 10-episode season, and seeing as how The Flash doesn't come back until the fall, I feel like I can pretty much watch this show and have no real bad, you know, taste in my mouth after doing it. So I guess that's pretty much my main purpose even reviewing this. So more than likely, you'll probably see a lot more Scream TV series episode reviews on my channel, or at least until something better comes up, or yeah, the freaking Flash comes back, because you know how much I love that shit. That being said, let's get into this review. First off, let's get into the premise or synopsis of the pilot or the overall series. Essentially, it starts off with this viral, stupid video going on the internet, going viral and stuff, which is essentially one of the main actresses who's being or characters who's being played by Bex Taylor Klaus, who I have to say right before I continue, she was the best part of this show. She was freaking awesome, and you may, out of every person who's in this cast, you might recognize her the most for several places. Most notable, you might remember her from Arrow. She obviously played the character of Sin on Arrow, who was supposed to be Black Canary's sidekick, but never really amounted to anything. So hopefully in season 4 she comes back and becomes more important, but I don't know. But that being said, she's in this show, and I thought she was awesome. But essentially, she's this bi-curious chick who's she has a whole bunch of problems or whatever, and she got caught making out with this chick. The video goes viral on the internet. Shit goes down. Kids start dying. Then there's this shoehorned plot device of apparently like 20 years ago, this freaking, the mongoloid Jason Hills of Eyes looking dude was obsessed with this one chick, and who's apparently the mother of the main character in the show, Emma, who's played by Willa Fitzgerald or what have you. And essentially her mom, I guess, set up this whole scenario where she would get the guy killed or what have you. He dies allegedly because, in horror movies, they always die just getting shot once. Yeah, that's illogical. Anyways, that being said, apparently 20 years later, after the events of that shit going down, he's come back from the grave to seek revenge on that bitch and her daughter and all these other bastard kids who are way too rich and way too white and way too good looking to be in this freaking show. And that's pretty much the premise of, Scream the TV series. And essentially, that's it. That's not really any real essential, crazy, insanely amazing plot device going around. It's essentially, this show has a hard time finding itself in the first episode. Once again, it's just a pilot. It's kind of hard to judge an entire series based off a pilot, but if I've seen, future episodes through the teaser, this is kind of what I'm getting the gist of. This show does not understand what it's trying to be, and it's having a very difficult time trying to find itself. That's what this show has a problem with, because it's trying to be too many things at the same time. It's trying to be Scream, it's trying to be Scream 4, it's trying to be I Know What You Did Last Summer, it's trying to be Urban Legends, and it's trying to be, freaking My Bloody Valentine all in one, which is not a good thing to go. I mean, like, the purpose of Scream is that it surrounds this freaking bunch of teenage kids who are way too smart for their own good, who are obsessed with genre flicks, and of course end up getting killed based off their obsession with the genre. That's the sole purpose of, the freaking story. And then at the end, you freaking shoehorn this plot device of, oh, you damned me in the past and I come back for revenge, bullshit plot device. But right out of the gate, they kind of shoehorn all these things in the first episode, which I think was telling us way too much right out of the gate. But overall, it is what it is. At the end of the day, the biggest folly besides that I can really sit here and bitch about is the characters. There's not really any good characters in this show. I mean, all the actors were entirely miscasted because none of them can hold their own in this show. A lot of their acting is very wooden, and they don't really know what they're doing. It's almost like they're trying too hard to be a stereotypical kid, or if it's not that, then they're actually a stereotypical fucking kid. Like, here's the geeky kid, and here's the gothic, a lesbian chick, and here's the leading lady who might fucking win, and here's the fucking jock idiot, and here's the fucking douchebag mystery guy who's kind of a badass, and here's the slutty rich bitch. There's way too many stereotypical kids who are way too obvious and not in a good way. And at the end of the day, the biggest other follow is the lead actress, Willa, who plays Emma, who's allegedly the lead. What they should have done is switch up the leads. They should have made Audrey the main character and Emma the secondary character, because Emma does not hold up this show, and I don't really care about her to the point where I give a shit as to whether or not she dies, because apparently the killer, who's Ghostface in this show, the killer Ghostface, apparently has an obsession with Emma and her mother, but I don't freaking care, so it's hard for me to really, do anything about it. Like, oh wow, her mother was this Daisy person, and this Ghostface character is obsessed with the two of them because she was hot and she didn't want anything to do with his ass, and now he's back for revenge because he couldn't get laid in high school. A lot of people couldn't get laid in high school, you fuck. Why do I care? I'm just saying it's insane. It really has, it's all over the place, it's a little messy. But it has potential, and that's the reason why I'm here even talking about it, because Scream the TV series has the potential and promise to become a lot better than what they're presenting right now. They have the opportunity to be basically the Degrassi of horror television shows. You have a lot of great horror TV shows right now. You got Hannibal, you got American Horror Story, you got, Evil Ash versus Evil Dead coming up. You have a lot of really awesome horror TV shows out there and what have you. This one could be not as good as that. I don't want to say that because I find it very unlikely that Scream will probably get a second season, especially seeing as how I know how MTV works, and I know how they fucking do their, their renewals and rating systems and whatever. I know that more than likely, it's very possible that they could end up getting canceled by season 1 and not getting a season 2. But let's just play devil's advocate and say they get a season 2. This show has the promise and potential to become the Degrassi of horror TV shows, which is what I want out of this show, because, and it kind of hits that same hits and beats where, like, occasionally I actually like a character, and occasionally I'm kind of on their, their same page when it comes to, oh, I like you, and now I fucking want to fuck you, or whatever. That kind of stupid, stereotypical high school drama bullshit. I kind of get into it a little bit, and I start to care. Which is why, once again, I kind of wish they changed up the ranking of certain characters. Like, at the end of the day, my favorite characters have to be, hands down, the freaking Bex as Audrey, and the geeky kid, the nerd kid who's the genre freak who knows everything about horror. Those were like the only two characters that I actually really liked in this show, which I wish they kind of ranked them up. The only problems I have is, once again, the premise is dumb, doesn't make any sense. The acting is very wooden, not very interesting, and I also wish they could have changed up the ranking. And also, in future terms, keep it in context, but in future, I hope that the actor who plays the genre geek really tones it down. Because, don't get me wrong, I know he's basically like a Jamie Kennedy wannabe in this show. I get that. That's what his purpose is in this show. But he's way too high up. Like, he's like at 11. He needs to tone it down by a 6. Because he's too obvious. Once again, we get into the acting side of these characters where, like, they're too obvious playing their stereotypical characters. He's way too obvious. Like, he's like, the geek who knows everything about horror, and he talks kind of like this because horror is awesome and I like it. It's just, take it easy. You're like at 11, take it to a 6, please. But they already started, this series with a pretty big bang, if you will. Shit goes down. Characters start getting killed. The main, actress who's playing, I guess, the Drew Barrymore of this show gets killed right off the gate, which I think was a good choice, because I'm just saying any rich white girl who's living in a house like that and has pools like that needs to be doing either one of two things, either getting banged or dying. She needs to be murdered or getting banged. But yeah, that's pretty much my overall thoughts on Scream the TV series pilot. I liked it. There's a lot of problems with it, and I can see why MTV will probably not renew it for a second season, but you never know. This show could have, potential to become the Degrassi of horror television shows, but I don't really see it happening, and I would not be surprised if it gets canceled by the end of season 1. But you know what? I'm going to continue to watch this show because There are certain things I like about it. I mean, once again, Bex Taylor Claus, I really loved her in this show. She was really awesome. She's my favorite character out of this show. And I like the geeky horror geek kid. I like him too. Even though he's way too obvious, I like him too. The other characters, not really care. I don't really care. Their acting sucks and they don't. I'm just saying. I can't care about freaking these super white rich kids who are super privileged and are too smart for their own good. I'm just saying I can't. I'm not white, I'm not rich, and I'm not a model. I can't care about you. So at the end of the day, this is what I have to say to all these freaking actors and characters, specifically the characters, because I'm sure the actors are, fine and dandy outside of these roles, but fuck you, fuck your face, fuck your dad, and fuck what you stand for. That's how I feel about these kind of characters. But overall, that's been my overall thoughts on Scream. If I have to rate this, I give it a good 5 out of 10. It's decent, it has potential, it has a little bit of promise. Bex Taylor Claus was my favorite character and actress out of this. She should have been the lead, in my personal opinion. The geeky kid, whoever plays him, he was alright, although he needs to tone it down a little bit. Ghostface looks pretty badass. I like it. I have no qualms with it. I know a lot of horror fans out there do, but if there's anything I have to really say, like, I have qualms with Ghostface in this show, it's not the way he looks, it's his voice. I'm just saying, like, they should have changed the voice. It feels like they're obviously trying to go for the movie version, which, once again, why? It's just, like, this show is obviously trying to be its own thing, but why try to imitate portrayals of other people? It just feels pointless and unoriginal. But that being said, I definitely will be checking out future. You know what? I'm gonna watch the whole season. Screw it. I'm gonna watch it, see if it goes anywhere. And you know what? Once the Flash comes up, then I'll stop watching this show. But I'm pretty sure this show will end by the time Flash starts. But that being said, I personally enjoyed Scream the TV series. It's not perfect. It's kind of dog shit at times, but it's moderately enjoyable. It's mildly entertaining. The gore and horror effects are pretty decent for an MTV kind of show who, once again, MTV, they're obviously not big on scripted TV programs, and if they are, it's usually for, cliche kind of bullshit. Although Teen Wolf seems to have a good following, but I still have yet to really dive into that show. Let me know if I should get into Teen Wolf. I don't know. Comment below. Let me know what you personally think about Scream the TV series. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Did you think it was dog shit? Do you think it has potential like I do? Are you going to check out the future seasons, specifically all of Season 1? Let me know in the comment section below. What are your personal thoughts on the future of the Scream franchise? Do you want to see a Scream 5? Do you want to see a remake Scream? What are your personal thoughts on Ghostface and how he looks in this show? And let me know what you personally think about all things Scream in the comments below. Subscribe to my channel if you've not done so already. Hope you guys enjoyed. This has been John12.